from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're hearing this in the future. I'm still 2024, Scoots. You're 2025. If you're new to Sleep With Me or you're a regular listener, this is a surprise. We didn't even announce it, but we're going to try to put out an extra episode from the vault. Ideally, you get to Sleep With Me being 3 times a week, 2 new episodes and an episode from the vault, because I know people are going to be really leaning on this show in 2025. I've heard from a lot of people. So this is something new we're doing. We're trying to get back to 3 episodes a week, 2 new episodes and 1 episode from the vault. And this is a vault episode. So it's a little bit different style. We've remastered and re-edited them, but they're still going to be a little bit looser, a little bit different style. But that's good because it gives you more choice in 2025 of Sleep With Me and more variety. So I can help you because I make the podcast that puts you to sleep, right? The podcast that ideally eases your suffering in the deep, dark night, or however you want to define it, the next day if you can't get the sleep you need. And we do all that together. So I'd love for you to be a part of this. I'd love to do this long into the future, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, and beyond. But we do it together. So, yeah, if you want to be a part of that, you'll hear me ask into the ways you could be a part of it. But it's... supporting the show, supporting the sponsors, and spreading the word. It's really simple. So, yeah, here's another episode. And let me know what you think of this idea of more Sleep With Me in 2025. Because you could actually now listen to Sleep With Me 5 nights a week. 3 episodes in the Sleep With Me feed and 2 episodes a week in the Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me feed. So, thanks so much. And what do you say? And here's a couple ways we're able to do it for you. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. All right, buddy, you've heard me talk about my bed. I have the Helix Dusk Luxe. I absolutely love it. And I love working with Helix. We've been working for Helix year after year after year. I sleep in a Helix bed every night. I absolutely love it. I'm comfortable. But it's a bed fit for me and how I sleep. Helix isn't going to just sell you one mattress. They're going to sell you a mattress that fits you, your sleep needs, how you sleep, your feel preferences, what's going to make you comfortable so you can have a great night's sleep. And everybody starts off with these resolutions in the new year. But think about it. You sleep in your mattress, your bed every single night. And here's something you could do in the new year. Get yourself a brand new mattress that fits your needs. And you know you're going to follow through on it because you're going to get in that bed every single night and you're going to be comfortable. And all you need to do to kick your new year off with some great sleep is to take that quiz, helixsleep.com/sleep. But when I took it, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach. I don't want to get overheated. And I got matched with the Helix. I picked the Helix Dusk Luxe. So start your new year off right. Get yourself a new bed. It's going to last you into 2025 and beyond. It's going to come straight to your door, shipped in a box, free of charge. And this is a commitment that's easy to follow through on because you're going to be getting in that bed and getting cozy night after night. And here's all you need to do. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. helixsleep.com/sleep. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Drew Scooter, where I talk about our membership program, the best way to support the podcast, and the way to get ad-free episodes, story-only episodes, bonus episodes, compilation episodes, tons of cool stuff. But I haven't had much success lately using my words to get people to relate to it, I think, because I'm too close to the podcast and I overthink it. And to be honest, asking for support is never easy. So I'm going to start using direct testimonials from people that support the show. Maybe you relate to this. If you do, think about supporting the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. And by the way, there's a 7-day trial, so you could try it out and cancel it too. And this message comes from Jennifer. My name's Jennifer. I live in California, and I've been listening to Drew for a long time. I want to say maybe a decade. It's my go-to when I have terrible insomnia. Literally the only reason I'm able to get to sleep on many nights, when my brain bots go crazy with worrying or ruminating or anything else. It just takes me a few minutes of listening to help me drift off. Being able to get more sleep on my insomnia nights truly is priceless and makes me way more functional during the day. And honestly, I decided to support the show because I really respect what Drew's doing, and I don't want to see the podcast disappear. And I think it's important to show support. Also, the cost is totally in line with the other things I subscribe to, HBO, Netflix, etc. And I probably spend more time listening to Sleep With Me than any of the other streaming services. I'd say that if you could afford to support the show in any way, please do so. Subscribers get a lot of perks, and being able to listen without ads is awesome. Most importantly, though, showing support for the work Drew does will let the show continue to be made. He certainly deserves all the support he can get. If you relate to anything Jennifer's saying at all, think about supporting the show, too. Join Jennifer and support the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, because you get a lot out of supporting the show, and we get to keep making the show to be here for you and thousands of other people. Thanks so much. Oh, Mystery Bart, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posterson sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. Don't forget, if you're looking for access to Sleep With Me Plus, to access to ad-free episodes, but you're not in a financial position to support the show, you can earn those for free by referring people to free podcasts at our referral program, sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. If you're like, yeah, I can't afford to support the show, but I really want some of that sweet, sweet bonus content on Sleep With Me Plus, sign up for our referral program and send me an email. Thanks, everybody. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble falling asleep? Welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's been running through your brain, whatever's been keeping you up at night, tossing and turning. Whether it's your body or your mind or your feelings, I'm going to try to distract you from whatever it is. It could be, outside noises, whatever it is. I'm going to try to take your mind off of it. The way I'm going to do it is that's the safe place, a little safe place of distraction where I just sit here. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to try to use lulling, soothing tones, even as balanced as it can be, just to try to sit here and tell you a bedtime story. And I know it can't really be there. So that's why I also say I send my intention across the deep, dark night. I guess my intention to just give you a little silly little distraction. The theory behind the podcast is that it's hard to think about two things at once. It's probably even harder to think about 4 or 5 things at once. And in my experience, it just works a little bit better to have some distraction outside of yourself. So that you're not thinking about, all the rigmarole around getting to sleep. So I'm going to, talk here. I'm going to, use roundabout metaphors and I guess I don't think they're actually delaying tactics, but in a normal situation, you say, is this person delaying? Is this a delaying tactic? Like they're waiting for the actual other person, like they're waiting for the speaker to arrive, but they're not a perfect, like a lot of times, they'll have a comedian warm up a crowd because they're comfortable, they can fill time. But every once in a while you'll be at some sort of seminar presentation and that poor person, it'll be like, well, this is the head of the arts department and he's going to introduce our speaker. Brett, come on out. And then Brett will get to the podium in the middle of the stage, like a sea of nothingness around him, looking at the crowd. And you can tell he's a little bit nervous, but Brett's excited about the author that's there to speak to the university or, whatever, insert, adjective or adverb or whatever, noun. And we've all seen this happen. Then Brett says, I'm so excited here. This is to get this wonderful author. She's on a book tour and most of her stops have been much bigger than this one. So we're so honored to have her here. And, I've read this book 17 times and each time has been a deeper delight for me. I've discovered new things. And then Brett's a little he said, what? He's looking off stage. And then he goes back to his notes. And we're just so full of honor. And there's so much to learn, not just from this novel, but from the stories she's able to share from her personal journey. Okay, what? I'm sorry. They closed down Route 12. Oh, boy. So she's not here yet. Okay. They're on their way. So they're on their, and then Brett usually will turn back. So they're on, awkward laugh. So they're on their way here. She's not here. So I guess I got the student newspaper here. It looks like our art calendar. How about that art calendar? Tiffany M. does the art calendar. Great job. Tiffany, are you with? No. Okay, well, looks like we have chamber music. Today at 2 p.m. Chamber music in the staff. Oh, that's in the staff. That's for staff only. At the catered staff lunches. Whoops. How did I make it into the... protest over the chamber. Okay, what else do we have coming up? A comedy in the comedy basement tonight. And it looks pretty good. Those are some good comedians there. That's great. Students laugh, and all the world's a stage, they say. So those are some, what else do we have here? Open mic night Wednesday. Anybody going to do an open mic night? I've always wanted to do, and then all of a sudden Brett gets comfortable. And he goes from being nervous. I don't know. I didn't do a really good nervous Brett, but he's still filling time. That's one of my big regrets in my student days, and then the students sigh, that I never took up his opportunities like that. And I never forgave myself also for not completing my novel. And then Brett realizes he's crossed over some strange line of revelation. But then another part of Brett, because of Brett's high intelligence, realizes no one's even paying attention. And he doesn't, for a split second, he doesn't know what hurts more. And then he realizes 3 levels of hurt. The revelation and embarrassment he may feel. The fact that most people are looking at their phones or their nails. Or his unrequited dream. And just as that thought crosses his brain, someone yells out, "The staff is welcome. It's open mic night." And for then everything from that point on, everything changed for Brett. He became a troubadour, a penniless troubadour. Was a much shortened lifespan, but we won't get it. Anyway, that's a delaying tactic. That was like a little bit of a delaying tactic about delaying tactics within a delaying tactic. But for me, it wasn't really delaying. It was distracting. That's a little microcosmic part of the podcast there. I said, geez, did that take your mind off of the other stuff? That's kind of how this podcast works. I'll just turn down old open mic Brett Road. And, I don't know. I guess I got made. And then it kind of you'll say, well, geez, it's not exactly riveting. I was hoping, he would make some, because, another story, but this is the middle of an intro anyway. So that and then that kind of just dissipated me explaining. I said, well, okay. So that's kind of how the podcast works. I try to take your mind off of stuff, with a slow misdirection into things like, you say, well, geez, I thought delaying tactics were boring and uncomfortable. And I say, well, yeah, I just take the uncomfortableness out of it because it's imaginary. And it's like, well, geez, I could picture Brett up there on the empty stage. And I've been in that situation before where the person has to look and their hand, their mouth's going towards, wait, okay, what did happen? And then you might be asking yourself, what happened on Route 13 or whatever? And it was an impromptu flat tire with that chamber music that they were trucking in for the staff lounge. They got a flat tire and they had an impromptu concert, and the students came and they relocated the protest. And actually, then the caterers for the staff lounge were blocked by the protest. So they said, "Hey, let's just have a party here." And then it turns out the author of the book. She's also a wonderful I don't know if you can sing to chamber music, but she has found a way. And I mean, for a lot of these children, their lives will be forever changed because it was like this rare winter break in the weather. And and everyone on Route 13, except for the one grouchy guy, just stopped and partook in this impromptu 2 or 3, and the author never made it. And then I guess to take any more emotion out of it, I guess we did say Brett did go to the open mic night. So that's the podcast. No cliffhangers. Not guaranteed. No guarantees either, because, I don't want you feeling pressure. This podcast is just to take your mind off stuff. You could fall asleep to it. You don't need to listen to me. But you can. Let me distract you a little bit, but you don't have to hold on to what I'm saying. You don't have to focus on it. It's not going to bother me one bit. As a matter of fact, it brings me joy to know you'll slip away in mid-sentence. And the next day, if you listen with a partner or a friend, you'll say, what was it? I had this dream about this wonderful... I think I'm going to start writing chamber music, sweetie. Okay, dear. Are you sure that wasn't some strange thing Scooter mentioned? I don't know, but let's just take a walk with the dog and enjoy this late winter sun. Okay, we're so rested that suddenly walking, we don't approach walking with the dread of the tired. So I don't know, that's kind of the goal of the podcast in a fantasy way, is for me to put in the work, you to fall asleep, and then we all benefit. That's it. Podcast's a little bit different, a little bit strange. So if you're new here, give it a few tries. It doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't even have to work for you. Just listen and see how it goes. That's all I ask. I hope it works. I hope I can help you fall asleep. But that's what I do. I just try to take your mind off stuff, flowing, soothing tones. I take my time getting there. And that's it. I'm glad you're here. And I really hope, I really yearn and I strive to do my best to help you fall asleep. So thanks for stopping by. Hey, this is Scoots here, and I'm talking about, song popped in my head. I'm talking membership. for people that, this is for people that want to support the show. You get so much value out of it. You want to support it back. You want the podcast to be here for you, or you like the idea of it being around. I have not been successful lately, and I wasn't sure what to do, but I have all these testimonials from people that support the show directly. So if you relate to what this one or any of the other people say, support the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, or more so, support your good sleep. But let's get to Nancy from Iowa. I had discovered Sleep With Me about 8 months ago. Like so many others, I struggled for years either to fall asleep initially or fall back asleep in the wee hours. After discovering Sleep With Me, I rarely miss a full night of sleep now. After trying the free version for a few months, I decided to financially support Sleep With Me. 1, because my free trial indicated it was working for me. 2, to omit the ads. And 3, out of fairness for the value I received. Thank you. I've tried other sleep promoting stuff, meditation, bedtime stories, soothing music, white noise, but nothing has worked for me like Sleep With Me. It's been 90+% effective for me. Plus, I like the name. Thanks so much, Nancy from Iowa. If you identify with what Nancy said, or you think you get value, should you even want to try a free trial at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, sign up now and then cancel in 6 days. But try out that bonus content first, because when you see all the episodes, ad-free episodes, when you see all the story-only episodes, all the bonus content, each organized into its own podcast, it's going to blow you away if you're a regular listener. And then you don't have to worry. Is it like you're supporting the podcast that you count on, and it counts on you. So thanks so much. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. All right, so it's trending Twitter Tuesday here. And it's Friday at about nearly 9 p.m. And I'm afraid my Twitter app, I just say fire. We got a couple of unique circumstances around this episode tonight. Last time we used Canada, and I'm having trouble figuring out how to change it here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I think my phone's about to die. I'm going to take a screen. I think I already took a screenshot. I had to pause it. But a couple of unique circumstances behind tonight's show. Let's see if I can process them all and set it up. So we had a guest scheduled, and it was someone that requested to be on the show, which is always a little bit of, they say, well, geez, I don't know if I could just start taking guests on, right? But this was related to another podcast that I like. And originally, Bernie the Butterfly was scheduled to come as this, what do you call those guys on K Street? Like a representative, a spokesperson. And I went back and forth with these persons and these lobbyists. And I said, no, Bernie was just on. He can't be back on. 2, it's, no. And then, of course, I backed down. But then ended up Bernie was double booked. Because there's something going on with the hippopotamuses and some others. So I think he's going on, I don't know what country it's in, but, he's on a hippopotamus-based grievance tour. Hippopotamus grievance tour. I think that might have been one of Spalding Gray's shows, too, which is strange. But so Bernie's wasn't scheduled to come on. So then this other person was scheduled. They said, well, they'll come on to represent themselves. And I said, okay, now I have been lucky as the podcast, and they talk about this beginner's mind or this, learning mindset, whatever. And I really have found myself in some wonderful positions to learn some things about the world I wasn't exposed to through this podcast. One is like interviews, and from working with Allison B and /CN, like I learned about this thing called the pre-interview. I would have never really known about it. Maybe I'd heard about it. But that's where before you get interviewed or it gets recorded, a producer calls you because they work on 2 shows that I was lucky enough to be a guest on. And they ask you some questions, kind of feel it. Okay, we think you're worth interviewing or that you'd be a good guest. And then they kind of pre-interview you, to prep you. I didn't realize that at the time. It took me, because, I try to go numb inside, so I was learning. I said, if I pay attention as pre-interview, I'll be a better guest too. I didn't realize that until too late now, but It's like it's just get things started, you start to prep the thing. So with this guest, lo and behold, I said, well, let's do a pre-interview. Because usually, Bernie just comes. I figured, okay, this person will come on like Bernie. They'll be able to hold the mic, not physically, but, they'll just come out and monologue about their grievances with this particular person. But there was also some context around it. Wow, this is dense trying to get through this, but lulling, soothing tones. But so the pre-interview did not go well. And it became apparent to me very quickly that I might have to become an interviewer because they said this, I don't know if this person could be on the mic. They're not here yet, so they can't hear any of this. And I think they realized, I said, okay, great. And I said, well, the way we're going to do it, then I changed, in the middle of the pre-interview, I said, okay, this is not going to, and I said, that's kind of more work for old Scoots, but the show must go on. And then so the second thing is, so this is kind of related to the Sawbones podcast. And ideally, I'll watch my language because I don't know if Justin or Sydney, the wonderful McElroy family, but ideally Charlie. You don't know if Charlie should. You probably, the McElroys will listen before Charlie, but this was also going to be like this thing for Charlie's birthday, whenever that is, which I haven't looked up yet. Sorry. Happy birthday, Charlie. So good that it's your birthday, or that I missed it. Oh, happy birthday to you. Even though this is like 22 minutes into the show or 25 minutes, but happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. But yeah, Charlie, you can just stop listening now because I can't sing. I can't sing during the podcast. It wakes people up. So, gaga, goo goo, papa, poo poo, your papa poo poo. But so, originally it was like, they had talked about this book about spleens, and then maybe that it would be like there was all these books, but it ended up that book I couldn't get the rights to. And even downloading it, it was like $250. I think the book they were talking about, Sydney and Justin. Now, Dr. McElroy and Justin, they were kind of having this debate on the show about the usefulness of the spleen. Now, I'm not weighing in here on either side, but I'll tell you who wasn't happy about it was the spleen. So that's who had gotten in touch with me, was the spleen. And I said, okay, well, this could still work as a podcast episode. That's why I did the pre-interview. Because they said, well, I could always go to this spleen book, or the spleen could read from the spleen book. Because that'll work. That would make an episode probably. But then one, couldn't get the spleen book without, total violation of copyright law. Two, the spleen. One second. Hello. I see. Luckily, I have someone helping me. Koa. Hopefully, she won't. Koa's like, she's not a vegetarian, but, sentient spleens, Koa won't bother. A simple spleen spokesperson. But this is an embodiment of all spleens, I believe. So this is a big deal. And I forgot. Unfortunately, I didn't record the pre-interview, and I didn't take notes except just like, that is not going well. And he actually wrote that down. I just drew my pen back and forth. So yeah, so I'm going to I guess I'm going to pause it here maybe. But I'm not finished totally setting things up. So I guess I'll set things up, then I'll bring this spleen on. Okay, 1 second, the spleen saying. So that means probably that's not an acceptable title. I probably should have got all that done in the pre-interview. I'll need it. Maybe there's maybe I should have emailed /CN or Allison or somebody and said, could you walk me through that pre-interview? So what's going to happen is I'm going to interview the spleen. Because the spleen, I guess, I don't know, I said, are you going to talk back? Like you're from nature. Are you trying to talk back? But I get the general sense that the spleen, I don't want to front load this interview or bias anyone towards against the spleen. But remember, this is a person speaking on behalf. It's not a person, I guess. This is a spleen. And this is for Charlie. Ideally, I won't lose my temper or my imagination. and do anything, say anything. But so the spleen's going to come on. The spleen's, we're going to talk. It's going to be an interview. The spleen, ideally, I think. Hold on, let me look and see, because I think they're getting a water, which is weird. The spleen kind of thinks this is going to be like a Bernie episode where the spleen comes on and kind of, lays down the law to Justin that about how good the spleen is. And then, both their defenses, it's a great podcast, Sawbones podcast. And then I think the spleen was probably going to land Dr. Charlie McElroy about, not doing the spleen right, and letting, but I don't think it's going to be like that. So don't worry, Charlie. Your lovely parents will not be spleened on my watch at all. What's that stuff called? The gall, whatever that, bile. I remember they were talking about bile. There won't be any bile spilled today. So stay tuned. Where I'm going to, I guess, how do you mic up a spleen? Jeez, really need a, I'm being as professional as I can, right? We learn by learning, or I learn by screwing them, and it's like, how slimy is the spleen? But I'm sure if it's out walking in the world, it had me send a car for them. So it's already cost me $8, which isn't too bad, and a bottle of water, which I guess maybe the spleen probably, I better keep an eye on it, because Co is alone with the spleen. What could possibly go wrong? So I'll be back with a spleen. I'm not sure if it's a spleen or the spleen. So thanks for, we'll just see how this goes. How's that sound? Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Scoots here. Believe it or not, this getting set up with this spleen character has not been pleasant. I apologize for, I don't think any of the technical difficulties came through. It's definitely going to be our most expensive episode because I didn't realize they needed a hose hook. It was very complicated, but it shouldn't sound like as complicated as it was. And again, I don't say this isn't embodied, but anyway, I want to welcome our guest. It's, is it the spleen? Spleen, sir. I'm the spleen, sir. Just spleen. Okay, so just spleen. Welcome, just spleen. Oh, well, the spleen didn't get that joke. Welcome, spleen. So we got the spleen here, and I guess I'm going to be doing an interview, which I don't really do. And since it took so long to get set up, I hope, because I said, geez, I don't know if I want to sit here while the spleen does a character assassination or a disembodied debate with Justin McElroy. So I was like, man, what else could we do? But do you have like a opening? Did you have like a statement or anything? Because I said it would be, if you were going to, since you don't have Bernie the Butterfly, I think this is better handled, not, unargumentatively. Okay, that's fine. Okay, man, maybe you do. Yeah, you thought you were full of bile, so I thought you'd be more energized since I'm not good at interviews. But why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? I'm a spleen. I'm a representative of the entire community of spleens, which is an organ in bodies of living creatures, an essential organ that affects the quality of life. And without me, life's better with a spleen. Okay, so you haven't had any media you're like me, you haven't had any media training, right? I was chosen from all the spleens of the world I'm the only humanoid spleen. And so I was the only, but they did not give me media training. Okay, great. So this should go really good. Because they said, because I was going to look up this book. This was supposed to be for Charlie. Could you do spleens ever have trouble falling asleep as young spleens? We work all the time. Okay, but since you're a humanoid spleen, which I don't get at all, But I also do get, because when a humanoidize a lot of things, and, you're here in the studio with me. But ideally, Charlie, will never be exposed to this podcast. But are you familiar with the human tradition of a bedtime story? Maybe you could give me an example. Yeah, but I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and this is already not an interview. And I had one idea for the interview, and then I thought we'd do a lightning round. But first we gotta, okay, well, could you give me an example of a bedtime story? I'm sure I could adjust. Okay, so like a bedtime story would be since you never sleep, but if it is a humanoid spleen, you must sleep so you understand the functioning of, because you walk and talk, don't you gotta get, I'm just trying to work with you here. Yeah, but we're working. I don't think we're working against each other. This could be good for the podcast, but it's not fun for me. Well, what would you want me to be sarcastic or more volatile? Okay, no. Okay, so here would be a bedtime story. Can I call you Spleeny? Maybe. Okay, Spleeny. It sounds pretty good, Spleeny. Okay, go ahead with the bedtime story. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a spleen that loved rainbows. And the spleen that loved rainbows' name was Billie Jean. And she was the nicest spleen, and she was also she's the spleen that loved rainbows. Do you get it now? No. Okay, so but one day, all the rainbows of the world started to disappear. And Billie Jean thought she had lost her power to find rainbows, so she was sad. So she called her mom, which wouldn't make sense except this is a story. She said, "Mother, I can't find any rainbows." And her mother said, "Well, how hard are you looking, dear?" And she said, "Well, I'm the greatest rainbow spotter in the history of spleens, Mother. So I think I would have spotted the rainbows if there was any to spot." And her mother said, "This sounds like a question for the great gallbladder at the top of the mountains. So why don't you journey there and ask the great gallbladder about this?" Okay, do you get it now? Not quite. Oh, boy. This might be the first podcast where I lose. Okay. Oh, boy. How did I get into this? Okay, so she had it out. She was also the most, the only spleen that I know of that had a bright outlook and had an ability to act of her own accord or take up action suggested by others, instead of just sitting around passively and, doing mysterious jobs for the body. But anyway, okay, so maybe so she said, "Okay, Mother, I'll head out and find the great gallbladder." And she started her journey across, she lived deep in the country of this land we call the Abdman land. And she headed across there, and, she traveled past, and she said hello to some of the other pituitary stuff. She said hello to the appendix and she met the small intestine and some of the other organs. There's kidneys in there and liver. And she was in search of the gallbladder, which I think sits in the Great Stomach Mountain somewhere, maybe. Or maybe on the spleen. Who knows? Because she had never traveled before. She had always lived in her own town. Okay, do you see what I did there? You got confused. No, but see how then you recover and you just kind of, can you tell where I'm going? I keep going. Okay, I'm going to try to breathe here. Okay, a couple more breaths and I should be able to restart the story, Spleen. I don't even know if calling you Spleeny would cheer me up. Okay, so she'd never traveled before, so of course these questions were going to crop up. But she had a outlook, and people asked her what she was doing. She said, "I'm in search of rainbows." And finally, she reached the trail that headed up the Great Stomach Mountain. And at the end there was a grouchy, lumpy, non-positive creature called the Spleen Nelplus. And Nelplus said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm in search of rainbows." And this is how Nelplus talks. "Why are you in search of rainbows?" And she said, "Well, rainbows are beautiful, and they remind us of beauty and color and all that's wonderful about the world, a mystery, like the mystery of the spleen." And this Nelplus said, "I don't care about mystery or rainbows, and neither should you. You should go back home and do your job and not worry about all those things." And she said, "Well, maybe you're right. Do you think I should just go home and be a spleen and just sit there and just kind of do stuff and then, be good for a couple podcasts, one good podcast episode with a doctor and a comedian, and then another one that's like a little bit of a train wreck." She said, maybe you're right. Like, so maybe I should just do that. And she said, "Do you mind if I sit next to you for a little while and think on this?" And Nelplus said, "No, you should just go straight home and give up on your rainbow quest." And right at that moment, she said, "No, I think I'll sit down and think it over." And then she sat there with her hand on it, and that's just a young spleen girl. And she had her chin on her hand. Billie Jean was her name, if you recall. And she had her hand on her chin, and she thought about it. She said, "Oh, well, I wonder if I should give up on the rainbows." And then she started to think about all the rainbows she had seen just as a spleen, which is pretty amazing if you sit and think about it as a spleen, or thinking about a spleen, thinking about it, seeing rainbows, it's pretty amazing. And she said, "You know what, Nelplus, I'm not going to let your sour, biley attitude drain me down. I'm going to go on a quest up the mountain and find out from the great gallbladder, where," she goes, "I don't know, I'm going to go talk to the gallbladder and decide from there." And Nelplus said, "That's fine, good luck." And right as she was about to head out up the mountain, the thunder cracked and the mountain shook, and then there was a cave in, and the path was blocked forever, and it seemed impossible to pass. And she sighed, and she even cried a little bit, because she had thought she, made the right choice, and now her choice was blocked, her path was blocked. And Nelplus said, "See, I told you so." And so then she said, I'll have to find another way up the mountain." Okay, Spleeny, do you get it now? Can you tell a bedtime story? Like, do you get where I'm going? You could keep going. Yeah, but this is, every once in a while I like to have a break from the podcast. That's why I have guests on. And I thought you could carry your own, but then maybe I'm enabling you. But this episode, it's got to get done. Okay, so Billie Jean sat at the bottom of the mountain. Her path blocked to the great gallbladder at the top of the mountain, the wisest of all, according to her mother. And she said, "All right, Nelplus, I'm out of here. I'm going to circle the mountain." And Billie Jean set off on a quest around the Great Stomach Mountain, looking for another way up, but there could be none. And so she circled the mountain again, and she still couldn't find a way up. And then she circled the mountain again, and she still couldn't find a path. She tried a few, but she would slide back down. This part is the part where people fall asleep. No, this is the part where I just trying to, hopefully something clicks. But, because I have to persist and do this because I got gall on my face pretty much, or whatever it's called, but bile. I've been biled. So she sat again, and Nelpus was still there. And then old Billie Jean thought to herself, something strange about all this. And she said, I remember the tales my mother would spin me as a young, as a splint, as they called little spleens back then, in days of yore. And she said to Nelpus, reveal yourself. And then another crack of thunder came, and Nelpus revealed itself as the great consumer of rainbows. Most famous anti-bile, they called it. And the keeper of the Merconium. And immediately a strange vortex opened up where that, what I say the name of the character was? Nelpus. See, why you gotta look at me like that, Spleeny? I'm trying to get this story going. I'm just interested in this part, actually. Okay, so this was the great consumer of rainbows. Nelpus, I guess, probably was the name, but she had just not realized it. Or maybe it was Quartro Grotto. I think it was actually Quartro Grotto. And Quartro Grotto grew to 10 times the size with its anti-bile and its Merconium vortex. It is said, I have consumed all the rainbows of the world, Billie Jean, and they are mine, and you'll never see another rainbow again. And I've tested you to see, for I know you are a lover of all rainbows, and I know you will not quit. You will keep coming till you defeat me. So I think we should have a battle now. And Billie Jean said, okay, why don't we play hide and seek? Because I'm not really, I don't have any vortices or, I'm not much on consumption. It should be a fair fight, don't you think? And the great, Nelpus or whatever, the consumer of rainbows and magnetic distributor of negative energy as a guest, on the mountainside. And then, but the thing was that Nelpus said, well, I've never played hide and seek before. I've never had any friends to play with. And Billie Jean said, well, what if I go get some more people? We should get some more people to play with, but there's no one around. And she said, it's so fun. And there's even this version, this odd podcaster came up with called Count the Mosca. It's a version of hide and seek, but more you pretend you count the flies. But we need some people, maybe some rainbows, or have you consumed anything other than rainbows? And Nelpus said, only rainbows. And she said, well, why don't you let the rainbows out, a couple of them, maybe 5, from your great belly, and then we could play hide and seek. We'll play Count the Mosca, and then you can consume all of us, and we'll call it, unless somehow I win. But she said, you're probably so wise and brave that you'll defeat all of us, and that will even prove your dominance, Nelpus, consumer of rainbows. And Nelpus laughed a laugh and then spit out 5 rainbows of varying sizes and, personalities. And then Billie Jean said, everyone gather around. And she said to the rainbows, do you all know how to play hide and seek? And they said, we do. And she said, excellent. We're going to play a game of hide and seek here. And this is Nelpus, a consumer of rainbows, but also future. So we're going to play a version called Count the Mosca. And she explained the rules, which are complicated. And they don't make a whole lot of sense, which would further confuse Nelpus. And she said, since Nelpus is new, why don't one of the rainbows, you be it. And count to like 150, just to give it, since it's Nelpus's first try. And then she said, okay. So, and if you haven't played hide and seek before, Spleeny, have you played hide and seek? No, this is so interesting. Okay, so
someone counts and then you hide somewhere where, you can't cheat. It has to be somewhere where the person could find you. And then they come find you. And if they find you, you're it. And then you have to find people. So the one rainbow, I think his name was Gary the Rainbow, started counting. And then the other rainbows, they went and hid right away. Very good at hiding because they're so bandy, they're good at cramming themselves. But Nelpus was like, well, where shall we hide? Where shall we hide? Nelpus had never had friends before, so this was very exciting to Nelpus. Okay, do you get what I'm doing now? Spleeny with the story. No, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Okay, so everyone was hidden, but the counter was counting down. But it was still a very high number. It was like 138, 137. And Nelpus is like, well, where should we hide? And Billie Jean said, well, at the top of the mountain, there's this awesome cave up there. That's why I was going up there. I didn't really want to talk to that lame old gallbladder. I wanted to live in the gallbladder's cave. I think they call it Rainbow Cave because there's a waterfall inside of it. So I really wasn't going to tell you this, Nelpus, but I was planning on stealing the Rainbow Cave for myself. And I think that'd be the best place to hide, but we'd have to clear off this. And then Nelpus started consuming all the rocks that were in the blocked path of the mountain. Much like a biomechanical process, maybe. I don't know how all that works with gallbladder stuff, and clearing the path up the mountain. And as they got up to the mountain, now, Billie Jean had also whispered stuff to the rainbows. And as they got up to the mountain, they got up to the cave, and standing at the entrance of the cave was the great gallbladder, who was not intimidating, an older, organ that you say, I don't even know what one of those would look like, But I would bet not pretty, and that's how old gallbladder looked. And creeping up behind Billie Jean were the other rainbows. And they got to the top, and Nelpus said, great gallbladder, we're here to hide in your cave. You got to hide us. We're about to be found. And the great gallbladder said, go right inside, Nelpus, and hide in there for and then Nelpus went inside. But it was actually a bile duct. And so then Nelpus went in the bile duct. Was in a cave, and Nelpus was, I guess, eventually hid forever. Nelpus did in the bile duct until some sort of biomechanical stuff happened, and also the rainbows, like shot rainbow stuff to make it. And then Billie Jean became the queen of the rainbows and the master of Rainbow Mountain, as it became known. Hence, therefore. Because rainbows no longer had to be worried about being consumed. And soon the land was flush with rain again. That was another part of the story I missed, and the earthy land was, growing fresh with whatever. The end. Okay, Spleeny, do you understand the bedtime story? I think I do. So do you think you could tell a bedtime story now? Okay. This is called Bring Elena Back to Damon. It's a bedtime story about a bear named Elena who went on a journey across the land and up a mountain away from her owner, Damon. Okay, can you think of a slightly different story? Now you might ask yourself, where was Elena going? And she would tell you she was going on a second date in Italy with Sean, which of course made Damon feel terrible. Made him say vorrei cancellare, as the Italian teddy bears are known to say. And as they just tried to pursue one another, they realized it was a World Nutella Day. And so then they all ate Nutella and had it together. And they said to themselves, Arianators are the best. And then they all became friends because they were so happy. And then they said, Leo Sanini, you know, because they watched a bunch of Leo DiCaprio movies, which was nice. And then they said, well, what about Lucia? Why don't we name someone Lucia? And then they watched the 100 at the end. That was, no offense, but that was terrible. That was my first bedtime story. And yours was, no, mine was not terrible, but I'm sorry, I don't mean to judge you, Spleen. Okay, let's try another segment here. Okay, so let's try another segment since you and Justin McElroy don't seem to get along. And I see I'm going to have to carry the bulk of this interview. One of my favorite things that Justin does is do a bunch of great podcasts that I'm sure a lot of people know about. But there's also this little YouTube show he does with Dwight called Things I Bought at Sheetz. And that's SHEETZ. Now, I didn't even know about Sheetz till, what year is this, 2015? 2016, right? So I guess maybe it was, when my brother got married, I guess it was a year and a half ago, I became aware of Sheetz because we were driving through Pennsylvania and we were trying to find some place to use the bathroom and eat. My brother said, the only place I stop is Sheetz. And he says the best, they have everything and then some, and clean bathrooms. Have you ever been on a road trip, Spleeny? No, I have not been on a road trip. Okay. So maybe we'll play like we guys just read you the titles of some episodes of Things I Bought at Sheetz, and you could say, I could see what you would think of it. Okay. No, this is not working either. Holy mackerel. I thought bring on a spleen would help the show. And so if I tell you elephant ears, do you know what an elephant ear is? Kind of like a big donut? Yeah, I don't eat donuts, really. Okay. What about cookies and cream donut? I said, don't eat donuts, really. What about a West Virginia peppermint roll? No. What about like a pepperoni roll, like a hot cheese or West Virginia pepperoni roll? I'm not familiar with that. Okay. Okay, so why don't you take me into, okay, so that's not going to work, I guess. Wow. It's almost like you're passively, I'm almost speechless. You're never almost speechless, though. Okay, maybe we'll try a guy, like, what if okay, how's your imagination? Well, I can't believe I'm asking you this, because you probably could imagine what a donut would taste like. Maybe. Okay, well, maybe you could, okay, can you picture, let's say, remember how that story I told had a cave at the beginning, at the top of it? And what if it was really a cave and not a bile duct? Okay, so close your eyes and you're in the cave and tell me what you see. Okay. I see a great trunk in front of me. The celiac trunk leading to the splenic artery and vein, mostly to the artery. And the hepatic portal vein. And there I see the spleen, up against the diaphragm. And if we get a little closer, we'll be at the ileum, up against the wall of this cave. But if you step through it, you'll enter the cave and you'll see something so amazing you would not know unless you were a spleen. For you see pulp. You see red pulp and white pulp. And it may look to you just like something from a painting on one of your walls. Or fractals, as I know you may have seen a long time ago. That you might see. And you'd say, oh, those are it's fractally. Or abstract. But there's nothing abstract about it. That is You see many things that keep the flow going in and out. Things called sinuses, and then the capsule, which encapsulates it all, like this cave. And you could definitely say this is a cave of wonder, where so many necessary functions go on, but they still yet remain a mystery. And you'd say, wow, am I lucky to be here in this cave. So much flow, so much energy, and so many nice neighbors, like Mr. Kidney and Penny the pancreas. And you might even say, hey, Dom stomach, how are you? Esophagus. And then, I can do what you do, Mr. Podman, when I just say words as we travel through, and you could look at it in a microscopic flowing way, flowing with each thunderous pound of the heart in and then back out, flowing through the systems and doing the jobs we need. Each has its part, and each is the sum greater than its parts, You could even say this cave is filled with a rainbow of colors, a rainbow of functions, and a rainbow of things. And you might not know or understand it all, or even be able to appreciate it, to know that it's pretty great, and say, why not keep it, Keep us around. We've started a program. We're not the most exciting spleens, but we have started a campaign in reaction. Spleens love people. That's what I was supposed to come on here and talk about, but I'd forgotten. We think people are number one, us spleens. And we say, hey, keep us around because we love you. We say keep people around. Extinction. We say nay to extinction and yay to humans because we love humans so. Our top 5 things on earth are human beings, human doings, human stuff, human monuments of human greatness. We live to serve you humans. It's a dream come true for us, really. Oh, really? Wait, Spleen, are you being sarcastic or serious? Oh, so serious. Well, we need you and you need us, And we want to remind you that. Just say, well, we should work together, as a team. That's what I think. I think is Spleeny and Humany, Spleeny and Andy, Spleeny and Charlie, Spleeny and Sydney, Spleeny and Justini, all of us spleens, we love all of you. I wrote this just for you, people. Ode to a human that I serve all the time. It is my pleasure. And if pleasure is a crime, I can only say it's a dream to serve you so all day long, choring away something you don't appreciate at all, no. But I bite my tongue, for I have none to bite, human being. I love you like the night that never falls for me, for I work all the time. But I know while you rest, it's not time for me to pine. It's time for me to do your bidding in the stuff that I do. Oh, what a joy. Each day, not anew, for it never ends a cycle that I serve human folks. Being a spleen unappreciated is little task for us to pull on the yoke. Oh, humans, thank you for that. It's us spleens, you're number one. don't think of us as optional. You know, we're around for extra fun, and we appreciate you more than the other organs do, you know, because we could leave, you know, as they've proven to do, but we want you to want us because you really need us, yo. My name is Spleeny, and it's my honor, but now I must go. Okay, so that was Spleeny. I think Spleeny put Spleeny to sleep, which is, I guess, a humanoid spleen might be able to sleep. So thanks for listening, and wow, that was an interesting episode. First interview, I guess, I guess I've tried to do some other interviews. And I never thought I'd say, wow, I really miss Bernie sorry, Spleeny. I never thought I missed Bernie the butterfly. But I'm going to buy some Gatorade now and beg for Bernie's forgiveness.
Hey, everybody, this is Scoots here, tucking you in. I don't know if you listen, we've been running testimonials from people that support the show directly versus me kind of trying to, I don't know, I don't feel like I have to convince you, right, to support the show. It's just like getting the message through. But I had to do something different because it's just wasn't working. What I was doing wasn't working, so it's time to change it up. So hopefully you listen to those. I'm just going to run through some of the bonus content we've got on Sleep With Me Plus lately. We had, like a Fearless Flyer from the holidays of 2024, a holiday parade, a Disney parade, a Posty Super Deluxe episode. He's getting ready to kick off his new series in 2025. We're reading through the book, Frankie and Victor, another Fearless Flyer. I'm pretty sure there's, it must not have the right, there's also like on location episodes. I know I'm editing one right now that'll come out this month, where, I take the Skyliner in Disney World. That part's in, binaural audio. And then I walk around the Art Animation Resort. We've also had like balcony episodes. Oh, Drew Reads News. That came out this summer. So yeah, check it out. I appreciate it. And if you ever need to get a hold of me, use the contact form on our website. I'm always here to check in with you. But yeah, I really appreciate you listening. And yeah, the best ways to support the show is on Sleep With Me Plus, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Support our sponsors or spread the word about the show or spread the word about podcasting in general or support something else that brings you value. If you say, nah, I'm not going to support Sleep With Me. What else do you, podcasts or YouTube or artists do you enjoy? Support one of them. Thanks and good night.